Good morning. Good morning. I hope you like the music. All right. Good morning. Good morning to everyone that is in attendance today. Um, so, this is a new show. Welcome to the Profit Lab podcast. So, today is the first day of the show, August 2nd. We're starting it out as and I wanted to get a chance to kind of tell you a little bit about the show or the podcast. So, it's going to be available via video. We're going to go live every Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Eastern on our Facebook page for the Profit Lab, on LinkedIn, and also on our YouTube page. So, with that, please allow me to introduce myself. I am your host, Marie Torossian. I am the CFO, an auditor, certified public accountant, and a chartered global management accountant. Now, I have two businesses. I have my firm, Marie Torossian CPA, and I have my management consulting company, the Profit Lab. So, a little bit about the Profit Lab. So, at the Profit Lab, we believe that your greatest asset is you. So, and our mission is to help you, the entrepreneur, to grow and scale your business with top notch sales, marketing, operational, and financial strategies. So, and our vision is to transform 1 million businesses to their 10x level. The Profit Lab provides business coaching and mentoring, training and workshops, and of course, management consulting services, including marketing services. The Profit Lab podcast specifically is meant to expand our mission to empower entrepreneurs by bringing their stories to the masses. So we are very, very thrilled to tell your story and inspire, empower, and uplift other entrepreneurs. So with that, I figured since this is the first day of the podcast and the show, that I would share my entrepreneurial journey, so that way you get to meet me, the person, the host, and of course in the upcoming weeks we're going to have quite a few entrepreneurs that we've already lined up, and they're going to share their experiences and their learnings through their journey of being an entrepreneur. So with that, let's get started. And again, by the way, guys, this is not going to be a very long podcast. I like to be very cognizant of my audience and my listeners' time. If you are an entrepreneur, you know time is of the essence. So time is money. And we want to make sure that we keep our talks, our experiences, to a short 30-minute to 45 minutes max. And we'll also make it available as a blog, so you can read it on the go as well. So with that, I'm excited to share my entrepreneurial journey with you today. I started, as I think back, my journey, I feel it started back when I was like 12 years old. I was helping my then, entrepreneur dad. He had opened up his first shop, and it was during wartime in Lebanon. And he started with one type of business. In a year or so, he changed to something else, and then something else. So, during the times I've seen him, in about 10 years, change the business about 2 or 3 times. So from 12 to 21, I was literally, working with my dad and or going to school. So during that time, I helped him basically, handle, receive inventory, stock the shelves with inventory, sell, when I needed to, manage bills, and also work on the cash register. I manage the cash as well. So I little did I realize that that's actually going to be the basics for me to kind of get so attracted to accounting. And truly that's exactly what happened when I went to college in Lebanon. My first class as part of business is to have accounting 101 over there. And I was like, oh my goodness, this actually has structure. I didn't know that. So I was doing accounting in a way, cash basis accounting, without really realizing what I was doing. I was just trying to put structure the best I knew. No one had taught me any of it. I was just trying to use my naturally organized self to kind of put things in order, make sure we're paying things on time. And that also, I believe it built that value of understanding business, understanding even a household is a business. So, money coming in, money going out, everything has to be accounted for, and there has to be enough cash coming in for the company to survive. Same with the family business, whether it's your family, your household, or your business. So, little did I know that that experience working with my dad at age 12 is going to really bring me that entrepreneurial, uh, valuable lessons. Um, so fast forward, at age 21, I halfway through, I was in college, but I had an opportunity to leave the country for better opportunity in the West. So, just like many, many people who have left their country for better opportunities in the Western world, I actually had a chance to go to Montreal, Canada, and I worked and lived there for about 3 years. And then I met my husband, and I moved down to Florida, United States. That was in 2004, and that was a whole new journey I had to start because, until then, I had not gone back to college and continue my education. So once I got to Florida, I studied, I went back to college. I studied accounting. I got my master's in accounting in 2010. And of course, at the same time, I started my accounting career as a financial auditor. And I specifically say that because there's a big difference between financial audit and IRS audit. And that information, you can get it on my other podcast, Coffee Time with Mary Torossian CPA. Also available on the LinkedIn page, Facebook page, and on my YouTube channel, Marie Torossian CPA. So I started as a financial auditor. That was in the public sector. And then a few years later, I decided that that was not the right fit for me, and I moved on to the corporate side, and so or we call it the private accounting. And with that, I started as an accounting manager, and that was 2012. And of course, I really fast paced because as a financial auditor, you get such great skills. It kind of gets you set up in from an accounting standpoint. You think in a way it's so different that I kind of was set up. I had the skills to fast forward, and I had my supervisor at the time, my controller, and then CFO herself. She would give me a lot of opportunities to try things out. For example, she would just give me some financials to look at and figure out how to analyze this way or that way. Or she would give me, hey, try your hand at a forecasting membership. And I had never done that. As an auditor, we don't have to do that. We actually are testing for any kind of errors and, any it's a different work. So it's not, forward thinking. It's more like, is everything reported correctly? So the purpose of the two things are very different. Again, fast forward a few years later, when the CFO, moved on to a different opportunity, I was able to step up to being the controller, the acting CFO. And then from there, as I started, seeing a lot more areas of the operations of the business, the HR, the payroll, all the different pieces that I had to manage. We had, I was helping out with IT. I was literally helping out with every area. It was such a great experience, to be honest. It was one of the best experiences I've had, to learn all the different areas of operations and finance kind of combining together. Unfortunately, the marketing and sales side was still unclear to me, and I'm going to come to that in a few minutes. So I got into that, and I was very much, I really liked it, and everything was great. As my experience started getting, better and better, I realized I really wanted to bring my knowledge and experience to more small businesses. I mean, here in Florida, we don't have a lot of large companies, and there's a lot of small businesses, that could really use the knowledge and experience that I've had already had. And so I tested the waters. I would say I tested the waters a little bit. In 2016, I kind of left, but I kind of took my employers on with me as a consultant. Then they offered me, to come back, and actually out of a little bit of fear. Um, I did go back to a full-time position. I became the CAO, chief administration officer, and this chief financial officer, and of course the responsibilities were even bigger. Um, and then I had a great opportunity to have a touch point, an experience with a someone they hired on the sales side, and this is going to play around just with the story, guys, because you guys are going to meet this person down the road. Um, and that was the first time where I realized, oh my goodness, this business has been lacking this type of leadership in sales. And when I had to work the numbers with this person, it was just becoming more and more clear. It was really, really great having this person around. And again, I'm mentioning this person without the name right now because you guys are gonna meet this person down the road. Okay. Um, so um, so 2018, October 2018. So this is now about 3 years, and I had couple of clients on the side, but I had my full-time job. So went from being full-time employed, self-employed, then full-time employed. So like I said, the cause for that was the fear. But in October 2018, I had the pleasure of having my second child. And for me, there were other things that became more clear, that having time with my children, my family, the freedom of being able to work when I needed to was more important, as well as getting the information out, right? My knowledge out there. So with that, what I did was I continued on as a consultant. I left the full-time employment. And that year it was great because I got a lot of great projects, And in 2020, I decided, okay, there's more people asking for more than just controller accounting work. They want taxes, and it's not my training, but I was able to collaborate with a tax colleague, which, by the way, you guys can hear some of the thoughts we talk about at the other podcast, Coffee Time with Marie Theresa and CPA, and I invite my colleague there for tax conversations. But at the same time, one of the fears was that, January 2020, I mean, we got locked down with COVID. Was it March? Complete shutdown, almost the whole world. So for me, it was complete. I shouldn't say panic, but it was like I was worried. I had made enough money. I did have quite a lot of savings that would help me through that year, and it did. But what I was fearing is I realized between that kind of shutdown, plus I had no idea how to market or sell, that was really going to be a hard one. So pretty much in 2021, I tried to focus on marketing the best I could. I tried to figure out how to do social media, and it was taking hours and hours of my time. It was really a lot. I enjoyed it though. I enjoyed the creative part. When I was very, very young, before the business thing took over, I once imagined myself being a rock star or some type of an artist that could paint, because I could paint, I could write. That was something that I did quite often as a teenager. So with that, I was really getting, if anyone has used Canva is one of really, really great tools to use for social media, production. It just makes things so much easier. I've been using it since 2018, and not that I'm promoting it by any means, but I do like the program quite a lot. And I became so comfortable using it. But it was all self-trained. I trained myself on those things. Same with creating a website. I didn't have all the funding. I had to go and just, research on Google how to create a website. And Wix has been one of the ones that was very easy to use, and it was somewhat plug and play. And initially I had the hardest time, of course, but then, now I have both my websites on Wix, and I love how much they've changed. And again, I don't have any affiliate stuff, with them, but I do like the program. It's fairly easy to use for someone who's starting out. And since this is really an entrepreneurship kind of storytelling, I just want to share some of the key things that I've used, to help me, since 2018. And hopefully it helps you as well. But The key point I wanted to make here is that even though I was spending all this time trying to learn things myself and I was enjoying it, I just realized how much time was going out the door that I couldn't even get clients, even if I found them, or if I was able to convince someone, okay, this is the type of work you need, um, you know, accounting wise, I would not even be able to do it because I had to still market and I had to sell and I had to actually deliver. And this is where I think most social media posts you see, they don't talk about that stuff. They don't talk about the hardships that it takes for when you're starting out and you have limited capital or savings that you're using. It's very hard to go out there and just suddenly hire all these people, right? So you try to DIY. However, if I knew what I know now back then, I would have done things slightly differently. Um, so here I have a few notes here just so I can stay on track. So as I realized, like I really have no idea how to truly market. I had hired a couple of what I thought were mentors. Um, they taught me a few tricks, I would say, and helped. It helped, not that, but it didn't help to a point where it would really transform me as a business owner. Like, from just being an accountant, right? Who knows numbers and can look at the financials and analyze and look at all the problems and find those solutions for your business accounting problems and operations problems. I did not know how to be a business owner of being able to see all parts of my business and then be able to delegate everything. So I bumped into a really, really cool webinar and by my current mentor, Grant Cardone, and it was about how to build wealth. And that webinar changed my life. And the reason I say that is you're going to know down the road what I'm doing with the Profit Lab, and you're going to kind of put things two together. So Grant says that if no one knows you, no one can flow you. And that really hit me when I heard that. I was like, wow, I've been trying to do this on my own. Like nobody really knows. That's true. Nobody knows me because I've always worked for somebody else. I've done all of this production somewhere else. And even though, yes, you can have references and stuff, but it's still, getting to the clients, the people, and then convincing you about your work and building that trust. It takes time. It takes time. There's no one can say that you just do that overnight. It takes time. And so with that, I spent, I invested even more time and money, and I calculated over the past three and a half years between cash that I've invested and time that I've spent training on materials, whether it's marketing, sales, continuing education for my CPA license, and then time that I did things myself, basically DIYing. So that I consider that like lost earnings time because you're either training or you're doing. So that's lost earnings. What I could have earned if I was actually had the clients and I was just delivering the service. I'm coming close to 175,000, and this is just rounding it up. So over 3 years, that is a big number for someone who's just starting out. So just to putting it out there. So, and again, this is all going to come back to making sense in a minute because I'm going to summarize this before we close for sure. So, so as I started training, so all of 2021, I was literally training on grants material and training and implementing. And one of the key things that I worked on was marketing. Marketing is prior to sales. That's what he said. So I literally went completely out there, such as starting my Coffee Time with Marie Torossian CPA podcast. That was a way to get the word out there, to show people what I know. How else will they trust me? If they don't know me, how will they trust me? How can they do business with me? So I had to put myself out there. I sat down and wrote down, I don't know, over 100 different content ideas and had someone help me with some of the social media creation and posting. I started teaching more. I started doing webinars for others. They would ask me to cover some accounting and tax, some basics. I would put together a PowerPoint presentation and do a 1-hour presentation randomly for whoever asked. I literally put myself out there. I wrote down a couple of books, an ebook and another fairly larger book. Um, uh, and it's mostly on operations and accounting, of course. Um, let's see. I did some I think a 10 week course on Clubhouse. I literally expanded my marketing to levels that I didn't even realize I could do it mostly on my own. So um, so that was really where, while I'm doing all this training and I'm getting all this great knowledge from my mentor, is when I realized, there's this new mission was emerging, which kind of brought about the Profit Lab. So I realized how much I can use my knowledge, which I was already doing. I was sharing my knowledge freely, and I can continue doing that and doing it through um, webinars and workshops specifically for business owners. Or other CPAs, other accountants, bookkeepers that have gone through the same struggles that I have, and really help them with my knowledge by doing a short webinar or a specific training or coaching. I became a Grant Cardone licensee, so I can teach his sales and marketing materials, and I combine those with my operational and financial background, and we cover pretty much all four areas. So the Profit Lab, as a management consulting company, can pretty much provide anywhere from marketing, sales, operation, finance strategies through business coaching. Like I said, webinars and workshops. It could be private workshops. Could be, you name it. We can create it. And of course, we're building a whole library of trainings for entrepreneurs who are just starting out and they cannot put in, they don't have the full funding. They can still get the information at a very, very affordable pricing. So these webinars right now, I have quite a few actually posted, and we've covered entrepreneurial journey or the success journey. We've covered how to manage debt and your mindset. We have covered 10 biggest mistakes in sales. That's a Grant Cardone material actually. And we've covered also how to set up a CRM system and how to use it. So these are stuff that I actually had to learn. So it makes me, I believe, a much stronger business owner because I can actually know the value of the work being performed as I grow my business, as I hire my team members. I'm going to be able to value their work, but at the same time, I'm going to be able to see if someone's not doing the work, right? So it's important to learn. I think I could have done things differently if I had certain people in my life earlier, but never regretting anything. Everything is a learning opportunity. If I hadn't gone through all those hardships, I would not be able to be here today and sharing that experience and then still teaching and wanting to teach more, and by becoming more of a coach. Yes. So a few things that I've also noticed as I compared my first 4 years. It's going to be 5 years, I guess, in January that I've started business and being an entrepreneur. It's really hard. One of the things that I've learned from Grant's team as well is that it takes up, close to 5 years for any entrepreneur to finally get that success and that launch. So it takes about 5 years to get that recognition, the attention, and all that. I know I've been working hard. I've gotten quite a few interviews, and they're on my website on marietorossiancpa.com. It does take a lot of time and it does take a lot of effort. So if you're hanging in there, if you're somewhere in the 2 years, hang in there. Hang in there. It takes 5 years. That's what they said. It's what took them 5 years. So some of the things that I learned as I was going through my journey here is that, the entrepreneurial journey is very bumpy. You're going to have economic problems. You're going to have personal problems. You're going to have emotional problems. Everything is affecting while you're trying to produce this business out of nothing. Anyone that makes it sound like it's just like that it takes nothing, they haven't done it. They haven't done it truly themselves. I had seen stuff, before actually starting my business. I would see posts like, four-day, was it 4-day work week and all that kind of stuff. there's no such thing. When you're an entrepreneur, you are never stopping really, unless you are on, let's say, vacation, or it's your weekend, whatever it is. I've spent days where I'm working 7 days a week, maybe a few weeks on a row, but I'm not complaining because I know where I'm going. I have a mission, I have a vision to accomplish, I have an impact to make down the road. Um, that's one of the things that I talk about in the mindset section of my webinar. So please check out some of those webinars when you get a chance. It's very stressful because when you're managing so many different pieces of the puzzle, you are going to get stressed. You're physically going to get stressed. I would tell you, it's like your face, your skin, everything can go off. So if you can eat well and stay hydrated, try to get a workout in at least 2-3 times a week. It will help that stress level go down. It does require commitment to not just making the money, the financial part, commitment to what's your impact. This is another thing that I noticed where, most of us start our businesses or become self-employed because, we're not happy at where we are working, or something's not fulfilling. Maybe everything is fine, we're making the money, but we're not fulfilled. Or we have something else. Like in my case, I had my children. I wanted to have the freedom of being there anytime they needed me. I did not want to have to tear myself going this way or that way. So whatever it is, we start with that. But eventually you have to find the real reason why you're doing the business. So that could be a very personal thing. I have my own. But in general, the mission and vision has to be large enough so that when those stressful times come in, the economic downturns come in, COVID shutdown happens, like it happened to me. I mean, when that happened, I was like, oh my God, I just launched the firm. I mean, I've been putting 2 years time trying to build something. And it's like, so, but, I figured, and my husband was super supportive as well. I was like, if we can go through this, we're going to be able to survive. And we're still here, and that's proof that whatever it is, you just kind of push through, and God is good, and you just keep faith. So, and the other thing I wanted to mention is the fourth thing. So I said it's bumpy. It's not 4 days a week job. It's ultra stressful. It requires commitment. So that's 4. Okay. 5. The fifth one is it takes massive amount of action. So I read the 10X rule book, and you probably see it behind me right there. 10X rule book. It's just amazing. Massive amount of action is one of the rules. There's nothing average. You have to be taking massive amount of action. So here are some of the things that I was doing, like from a marketing standpoint. When I look back and I actually write down the stuff I've done, and I do it every year, and I send it to clients, and I send it and I post it out there. And then I also post what I will be doing. I'm surprised how much I can take action. And like I said, I'm still fairly small. I'm just an entrepreneur with a couple of people that are helping me out. It just takes so much effort. But like I said, if the mission is big and you can see where it can take you, you will be willing to do it, what it takes, anything that it takes. So massive amount of action. So like I said, as I got featured on different magazines, I became chair of, let's say, in my local Florida Institute of CPAs chapter. So I kind of get into more leadership positions. I became an accountant advisor on the ADP payroll. I'm sure everybody knows. ADP payroll is one of the biggest payroll companies. They have multiple companies. And so I am part of the accountant advisory board for the Run ADP, for small business. So that is so it's an honor to serve, in those positions as board members. I'm working with, let's say, others to put together webinars, let's say, such as Biz Equity, which provides valuation services, and I actually use their software to provide valuation services as part of my CPA firm. So there's just so much effort it takes to put yourself out there, doing videos, doing the social media posting, writing blogs. There's just so much action to take, and it can be overwhelming. But if you have a structure in place and you have the right people helping you out, you're delegating properly. And sometimes you do have to work more hours. So, but it is for you. If it takes you closer to your mission, you would be willing to do it. I'm willing to do it. um, so let's see. So those are the top 5 things that I realized from my own experience that really would just change things for me completely. Um, and a few other things that I wanted to mention, other than the 5 that I already mentioned. Um, from my experience, I realized that first time I tried to be an entrepreneur back in 2016, the fear of the unknown, the fear of not having financial security was the reason it forced me to go back to being a full-time employee. And I was miserable when I went back. I was not happy. I was actually happier being a consultant, but the fear of not having that financial security was difficult. That's what got me back. So if you are thinking of being an entrepreneur, don't let fear pull you back to your comfort zone. So either go, which brings me to either go all in or stay out. Um, it's entrepreneur journey is not for faint of the heart. You really have to be like a warrior every day. You got to put on the armor of God, and you got to put on the suit and just go out there every day, do your best, put out of a fight, so to make your impact in the world. So and then the one other big thing is that having the right mentor can just change everything. For me, it has pushed me beyond my expectations. I thought I was someone who was a go-getter, and I'm always pushing myself as it is. But working under Grant's mentorship has just pushed me beyond what I thought I could do. And that's why when I said, when I go back every so many months, or at the end of the year, I do a summary as well, a summary of what I've achieved. It doesn't have to be financial all the time, and I'm repeating that on purpose. Doesn't always have to be the financial impact, right? The financial impact will come because it's harder in the first few years. Don't just hang in there. Look at what you were doing and what you've done, what you've accomplished in, let's say, that quarter, and the next quarter and the whole year. The financial thing will happen eventually. For some new businesses, especially like new ideas, or you're trying to do things slightly differently, you're going to have a lot harder time than just selling widgets. Okay, we're not talking about here some type of a widget you can buy for this much and sell for that much and put it on Amazon. And even this is not what we're talking. We're talking about real valuable services and products that you're going to sell. And the concept is new. It's really, really hard to put it out there and just right away and make the financial gain. You got to think long term. And as long as financially you're stable, you're able to build out slowly, and you're putting the impact out there, and you're putting your fillers out there. We call it the planting the trees in the Grant Cardone world. You're planting the trees. You're marketing yourself. You're getting the word out there. People are starting to get to know you. They're starting to invite you on shows or podcasts and stuff. You're doing the right things for your business. So I guess I covered 7 things. I didn't want to make it too scripted. I don't like doing scripted podcasts. So my Coffee Time with Marie Torossian CPA podcast is also unscripted. My colleague and I just go up there, like maybe the day before or that morning, we decide on, hey, this interesting subject came up. Let's just talk about it. And that's why, I wanted to cover my story of my entrepreneurial journey with a very open and from the heart, instead of scripted what you should hear. I just want you to hear me from my heart. So I hope these 7 key takeaways from my journey has really, really helped you out. Feel free to check out my website, www.theprofitlab.biz/podcast. So it's going to go on there as an audio, and you can always go back and listen to it. And like I said, I'm going to try to build this out into a blog so that you can also be able to read it and have it like as notes. So I'm here to serve you, the entrepreneur, to help you with those strategies, to help you grow your business and help you with your mindset as well. One of the things that I feel is my strength is mindset, and that comes from living in a very war torn country, you have that warrior uh, mindset. It's not a lot that really phases you. Like, you're not surprised by things that much, and you're willing to push through and push through and push through to survive, right? So that's naturally in me. But there's also key things that I've learned from my mentor Grant, right, that pushes me a little bit further. So I am here to serve you, to help you through mindset, through your sales, marketing, operations, and finance. So feel free to reach out to me, Marie at marietorresioncpa.com. You can also submit a contact form, if you have any questions or something you want me to cover. You have an idea for, let's say, a person that I should speak to on this podcast. Feel free to share. I would love to bring them on board and tell their story. So, moving forward, I will not be directly talking about myself anymore. I'm humble enough that I don't want to keep talking to myself. The whole point of this podcast is to talk about other entrepreneurs, and that we learn from them what their takeaways were, and then we can that way help everybody, scale up together. So, with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me on the Profit Lab podcast. I hope those 7 takeaways, and I'm going to repeat them one more time. It was: entrepreneurial journey is very bumpy. It's not a 4 days a week. It's ultra stressful, so be prepared to have some set up for that for ultra stressful days. Make sure you're staying committed to your goals, your vision and mission. Take massive amount of action, 10 times the action, right? Don't let fear pull you back to your comfort zone. Have the right mentor to guide you, or the coach. You can always pick me. And you're either all in or you're out. So with that, my friends, thank you so much for joining me. And until the next episode, I will have someone very special for you to hear out. And I'll see you next week, Tuesday, 10 a.m. Eastern Times. Have a great one.